In all honesty, this story still confuses me. It still confuses me. So Matt Chandler, he stepped down 3 months ago, but now he's back. And I'm going to show you the video of everything that Matt said during his first, addressing to the church since he stepped down 3 months ago. I'm going to show you exactly what he said. And things got kind of emotional, which you're going to see. But, when this story first happened 3 months ago, I didn't even talk about it publicly because I was like, what did he do? They were saying that he had an inappropriate relationship with a woman who was not his wife, that they were DMing on Instagram, but they said, it never got, sexual. It never got to the point where he was cheating, but it was just, foolish. But it was very vague. There weren't like any details given. And here's the thing. They don't owe us anything. I don't go to, I can only speak for myself. I don't go to that church, right? If they want to keep that information in-house, then that's fine. But it's just really interesting that, still 3 months later, there's not really any information about it. And, the woman who was involved with Matt still hasn't said anything. And look, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. From like a good thing from the standpoint of, hey, they're keeping their business in-house. But it's like in this world that we live in, it's like everyone wants to tell their side of the story, right? Everyone has something to say. But yet, the woman still hasn't said anything. But listen, that's besides the point. He's back now. I'm going to show you what they said in just one moment, but let me read this to you because this is a story from the New York Times. So national media attention is being given to this story. It says popular pastor returns after absence over an inappropriate online relationship. It goes on to say that the prominent pastor of a Southern Baptist megachurch in suburban Dallas received a standing ovation as he returned to the pulpit on Sunday, more than 3 months after abruptly announcing an indefinite leave over an inappropriate online relationship. Matt Chandler, the lead pastor of the Village Church, which attracts about 4,500 attendees to its main campus, faced a packed sanctuary and apologized for vaguely defined online misbehavior he repeatedly referred to as my foolishness. He goes on to say, "I'm sorry I failed you," he said. "The Lord met us and he carried us through. I don't want to lose sight of that." So let's get into the video. Once again, everything has been super vague. And we don't even know exactly why they told him to step down. Obviously, the elders felt like it was enough of a reason to have him step down, but now they're having him come back in a relatively short amount of time. So let's hop into this video. The elders are going to break this down, and then they're going to bring in Matt. So let's see what they have to say.
We do have a service this morning with a lot of elements, and I want you to know that I am humbled and excited to stand here, truly. So on August 28th, I said this to you. I said that this is the day that the Lord has made. And I am saying to you this morning, again, this is the day that the Lord has made. And on August 28th, it was a challenging morning. It was emotional and difficult and good and right. And those days are days that the Lord makes. And there are days like today that are restorative and merciful and celebratory. And these are the days that the Lord made. And I want us to see as a church that whatever tomorrow brings, that will be the day that the Lord has made. Because he superintends and cares for our lives. And so there's a few things that I want to walk through. I want to let you know this, just right out of the gate, that the elders affirm Matt's reinstatement to the pulpit. Yeah. As I talked about on August 28th, we walked through a series of events, and I'm going to read some things here where Matt didn't demonstrate behavior that was expected of an elder, as we hold elders to a high standard because the scriptures hold elders to a high standard. We believe that, we affirm that, and we have seen that play itself out. And over the last several months, Matt has been working diligently through a development plan that was laid out for him by the elders. As a team, as an elder board, we created this plan in consultation with others, namely Summer Vincent Berger, who's our Senior Director of Care, who has an expertise in developing plans just like this. And we prayerfully considered both the discipline and the development necessary. And we said with that plan, and this is what we told you on August 28th, and then updated you throughout our time, that the plan itself would help us understand when the timing was right. And the timing is right. We find ourselves here this morning eager and excited. And let me give you a little bit of background on that. As we talked about the development plan, one of the aspects that we wanted to make sure was important, and this was our top priority, was the overall health of our church. The Chandlers are included in that. But they weren't the only people involved in that. And so there were a lot of elements that we walked through and tried to keep a real healthy pulse on over these last several months. Matt has completed everything that we've asked of him. He's done it with eagerness. He's done it with humility. He's done it genuinely and authentically. And I'm a better man having watched him do it. And I'm grateful for that. And I know you're right over there. I want to thank you for that. Those closest to Matt have seen these aspects of change, and I'm grateful for that. And by change, I'm talking about just progress as we're working through the realities of our life. But to press into that takes a lot of courage, and that has been demonstrated and displayed. And so I just want you to know, church, how thankful I am for that. As we talk about this posture and the understanding and behavior and all that this has happened, the elders relied on a multidisciplinary team to help us assess and affirm readiness. Matt's readiness, the staff's readiness, and the church's readiness. And again, we have come to a place where we believe now is the time. It also corresponds with Matt and Lauren's 20th anniversary at the church. And what a beautiful irony today is. And so as we looked at the readiness, Matt's readiness and our readiness, and reinstating Matt, and we saw that the date looked like it was this, it was one of those moments where we asked ourselves, why wouldn't we do it? We didn't plan it this way, and this wasn't the day that we had circled on the calendar way back when. We didn't have a day circled on the calendar. But what we wanted to do is reinstate Matt when the time was right, and that is now. And it also happens to be the 20th anniversary of the Chandlers serving our church. And so we think that's beautiful, and we're thrilled and eager and excited to honor you and your family and to reinstate Matt this morning. So with all of that context, would you please welcome Matt back as we,
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you. What a weird morning. Of course, I'm sick as a dog, so it's fine. Couple of things. I know.
Man,
That
what did he do? He is still obviously working through it, obviously still very emotional about what happened. And look, he has every right to be. But once again, what did he do? What did he do?
the Christian life's a bit of a marathon. Sometimes you're running uphill and sometimes you're running downhill. Sometimes it's snowing and sometimes it's sunny. And if my foolishness Thank you. Created any additional weight or hardship for you, man, please forgive me. I said back on the 28th that I was real disoriented when this happened because I didn't understand how it happened. I mean, I'm a man who guards his life and doctrine fairly closely, and so
That's an interesting statement. He said when it was first happening on the 28th, he was disoriented because he wasn't sure how it happened. That's a very interesting thing to say.
I was disoriented by the fact that, one, that the accusation came, and then I was confused by even some of the things that progressed after that. And I do think that it revealed some unhealth in me that was a blind spot that I just couldn't see. And so I couldn't be more grateful that the elders are, look, there are three things to the man. They love the Word of God ferociously, they love Jesus Christ deeply, and they love me and my family. And we have felt that through this whole ordeal. And so there's no, I mean, I hear the whispers that there's no beef between us and the elders. I don't know what you think about their play. I agreed with it.
That's interesting. He said there's no beef between us and the elders because people in the church are thinking that there's beef between him and the elders because of they had him step down. And I think maybe, much like what I'm saying is like, okay, if the elders are going to have him step down, okay, have him step down. If you deem that he did something that, warrants having him step down and that he needs to take some time, but what exactly is that thing that he did that he needed to step down for? And once again, because here's the thing with like church and, even with the church that I go to right now, it's like, they say like, oh, we're a family, we're a unit, we're a family. Okay, then let's have these family conversations. Like, you don't have to tell us, all of the details. And if they had a conversation behind closed doors with no cameras, and I think they should, they don't need to be broadcasting their business to the world. But, I think something that probably would be beneficial, and who am I, right? I don't run a church. I'm not an elder, but this is just my opinion. Something that I think would be beneficial is like go behind closed doors, turn the cameras off, and explain to the people what happened. You don't have to break down every single detail. You don't have to show every single, message, but a little more information, a little more context, because I think the last thing that you would want to happen is, they're saying, oh, nothing happened. Like, well, something happened, but it wasn't as bad as you think it is. So we're going to have him step down, but now he's back, but we're not going to give you details. We're still going to be very vague about it. The worst thing that could happen is, the other side, the other party, the other woman comes out and she has a story that contradicts everything that they just said. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm not wishing that happens. But I'm just saying, these churches want to say that they're going to be transparent, that they're a family. Then, let's be that. Let's stand on that.
I'm grateful that they love this church. They love Jesus. They love the Word. And they love us enough that they're driven by conviction enough to model what needed to be modeled here. And so if I caused any burden, I'm so sorry. And then I want to thank the elders, and I want to thank Summer and exec, and I want to thank the staff that had to carry a significant load because of the work I was doing. The elders asked me to do 2 intensives and then a neurological exam, and then, which if you don't know my backstory, we probably needed to do that, right? I don't have a right frontal lobe, if you remember that back in 2009. If you're a guest, I had brain cancer. I had to do some surgery and some.
That's really interesting, actually. They had him do a neurological test. And I didn't know this. I didn't know that he had brain cancer. I didn't know that he had surgery to, remove a part of his brain. But it's interesting that they were speculating that, hey, maybe this was caused because of, the history that you have from brain cancer. Brain cancer. Maybe this is causing a lapse in judgment. That's an interesting direction to take it. And like he said earlier, he said, he was confused because he didn't understand how this could happen. Now, here's my just opinion. And once again, I'm not an elder. I don't run a church. What do I know, right? I'm just a dude talking to a camera. Just from what I'm observing, I would have said, you know what? How about you come back, Q1 next year? How about you come back in January? How about you just take the rest of this year, get right, spend time with your family, get back closer to God. And then, next year, let's just go into next year fresh. Let's leave all this behind us. Let's just do that. Because from what I'm seeing, just my observation, he's obviously still going through some stuff. But hey, I don't run a church, so it is what it is.
And man, I think that process has given me insight into exactly what happened. So that I don't have to be anxious about that or nervous about that. And I think in time, I'll share more. I don't have like 6 key learnings for you this morning. I just feel like fresh out of surgery. So I feel tender and alive to the Lord and grateful to be back with you. And again, I think for all the talking points that may or may not need to happen this morning, I think my heart is, I'm sorry. Like I failed you, and I know you love me, and I know you're so, and I appreciate, you have so been the grace of God to us tangibly, so thank you for that. But I'm sorry for any burdens I've caused or difficulties that my foolishness kind of brought about in your own journey with the Lord, and I'm so thankful for you and for these elders and for our staff, and like the Lord met us, and he carried us through, and I don't want to lose sight of that. I don't want to lose like chances of your stuff ever being made public and making salon is probably slim, and yet the Lord's going to be serious about your heart and to pursue the depths of who you are because he loves you. And the more we can submit and bow to King Jesus, the more health, vibrancy, and wholeness is available to us. And so here in a second, I think I'm going to turn it back over to Josh, but I did want to, I've known like today was going to be all eyes on me. And if you've been here for 20 years, you know how much I hate that. So I'm eager for us. You don't leave this behind. This now is a part of our story. Right? It's not like, okay, let's get it. No. We're a whole new place now. I don't even know what that means yet, but we're going to find out together. So I'm eager for that. And so I'm sorry. Thank you. I do love you more than you know I do. So.
Yeah. I want to invite up the elders, if you guys could make your way up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to pray for Matt. A restorative prayer, welcoming him back. And we're glad to do it. We do it with full hearts. And as these men make their way up here, y'all come in the box. If you catch the flu, you're fine. We love you, Matt. It's just a cold. It's always just a cold. Yeah. But I hope that you know, and you might not, the brotherhood that exists here and the unity that exists with these men. You've prayed for that, I hope. You have labored in prayer, asking God that the leadership of the church, namely the elders, would be men who love the Lord, who are unified and serious about the scriptures, serious about the care and the attention and the growth of this church. And God has answered your prayer. This group is a unified group who loves one. It's the most prayerful group of elders I've been a part of in my 18 plus years here. And that's not saying anything against previous groups. It just means this group of men.
All right. So, you got the gist of, what happened and everything like that. Listen, I pray that, Matt is is well. I pray that, he's continued, that he will continue to be a leader for the church, a leader for his organization. And I hope nothing but the best for him. My only question was, okay, what exactly, what happened? Because it seems like, here's what seems like is happening. And I'm going to read this real quick. It says, this is from julieroys.com. It says, in August, a tearful Chandler confessed to his congregation of about 8,000 that he had engaged in an inappropriate online relationship with a woman other than his wife. The relationship reportedly was not romantic or sexual, but was unguarded and unwise. So it just, for me, and once again, I hope nothing but the best for Matt and his church. It just kind of seems like, okay, they're downplaying what happened, but yet they still took action to remove him. And it seems like he's still extremely hurt and still extremely set back by the events that happened that were supposedly not that big of a deal, but they were big enough of a deal for him to be removed from preaching. So listen, once again, I pray nothing but the best for them and their team. Let me know what you think. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Join the conversation. Like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm out.